What if everything you've been calling reality is just a reflection, a perfectly crafted illusion mirroring not your actions, not your words, but the precise way you observe the world? It's not metaphorically, but literally. Quantum physics has been whispering this truth for decades, yet most people are too entangled in survival to notice. You are not walking through a fixed world, you are selecting it with every thought. Every emotion, every expectation you unconsciously rehearse. Right now, as you listen to these words, you are collapsing one version of reality into form, while infinite others remain untouched in the field of possibility. And here's the glitch in the system. If you've been waking up in the same emotional state, repeating the same judgments, expecting the same outcome, then you're not experiencing a timeline, you're looping inside a frequency. This is not because you're broken. It's because your focus has been hijacked by old programs that tell you life is linear, predictable, and slow to change. But that illusion is cracking. In the quantum field, particles don't even exist until observed. So what are you observing? Scarcity? Fear? Doubt? Then that's the version of the universe that keeps materializing around you. But what if you could shift, not by force, not by hustle, but by becoming the version of you who sees reality from a higher octave? What if that shift in perception is all it takes to collapse an entirely different future into now? This video is not about motivation. It's about mechanics. Because the moment you shift the observer, you shift the timeline. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why your focus isn't just attention, it's the code that rewrites your entire existence. If you're ready to remember what the quantum field already knows about you, subscribe now, and let's begin the shift. You've heard it before? Change your thoughts, change your life, but that's not quite it. You've tried it, right? You said the affirmations, you visualized the dream, you even practiced gratitude, and yet nothing shifted. Why? Because you were still observing reality through the old frequency. In the quantum world, your thoughts are not enough if your body, your emotions, your breath, and your assumptions are still tethered to the identity of who you used to be. Think about this. Two people can walk into the same room, see the same faces, hear the same words, and walk away with completely different realities. One feels rejection, the other feels inspiration. Same room, different timelines. Not because of what happened, but because of how it was observed. This is not just psychology. This is physics. Your focus, your attention, your interpretation, those are the forces collapsing particles into form. The universe is not waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to observe differently, but no one teaches you how. You were trained to react, not to observe. You were taught to manage circumstances, not to direct frequency. And here's where it gets radical. Reality isn't fixed until you look. So the moment you stop scanning life for what's wrong, it's the moment you shift into a new emotional signature, open slightly you open a new probability space. That's not theory. That's the observer effect. Every time you choose to feel from a new state, you're not just feeling better, you're selecting a new quantum path. So the real power isn't in doing more, it's in being more coherent. What if the world around you isn't slow to change, but your observation has been too habitual to let it? What would happen if today you stopped observing through the eyes of fear and started seeing from the frequency of your future self? You wake up and feel it before you even open your eyes, that quiet pressure in your chest, that low hum of anxiety humming beneath your morning routine. You check your phone not with joy, but with tension, waiting for the next problem to appear. You scan your bank account and your heart skips, not with excitement, but with dread. You look in the mirror and your first instinct isn't to smile, it's to fix, to hide, to criticize. You carry that state like an invisible backpack all day long. It's not the world that's heavy, it's the frequency you're trapped in. No one talks about this. They tell you to just stay positive, to trust the universe. But how can you trust something that keeps reflecting the same loop? You've done the work. You've read the books. You've tried to manifest. But deep down, nothing feels solid. You feel like you're stuck in between versions of yourself, the one who knows there's more and the one who keeps waking up to the same day. That split creates suffering. It's not just emotionally, but energetically. You feel like a stranger to your own timeline. You start wondering if maybe this is just how life is, a series of almosts, maybes, and spiritual bypasses. But here's the secret no one told you: your suffering is not because you're broken. It's because you're observing life from a lens that no longer fits. And the longer you stay tuned to that frequency, the more the field has no choice but to reflect it. That's not punishment, it's precision. The universe doesn't give you what you hope for. It gives you what you broadcast. And if your broadcast is wired to fear, lack, or waiting, then those are the timelines that keep collapsing around you. But here's the miracle. Change doesn't take years. It takes a shift, not in the world, but in how you see the world. That's the crack. And once it opens, everything begins to move. Most people think focus is just mental effort, a flashlight you point at something. But that's not even close. Focus is frequency. It's the tuning fork of your consciousness. Every time you focus on something, a problem, a person, a possibility, you're not just thinking about it. You're sending out a vibrational command to the quantum field saying, "More of this, please." And here's where it gets wild. The field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you consistently observe. Wanting is one frequency. Observing is another. That's why so many people feel frustrated with manifestation. They visualize wealth, but focus on their lack. They say they want love, but constantly observe their loneliness. They affirm health, but observe their symptoms. The mismatch creates static. And in quantum terms, static equals delay. So the field holds your desired reality and potential, but it doesn't collapse because your signal isn't coherent. Imagine reality like a radio station. Your dream timeline is already broadcasting on 99.9 FM, but you're tuned into 89.1 filled with thoughts of doubt, fear, self-judgment. The music you want is there, but you can't hear it until your internal tuner shifts. That's how powerful your focus is. It's not just attention, it's activation. Your future with every emotional reaction, every repeated thought, every unconscious habit of focus. Most people don't even realize they're doing it. They call it being realistic or preparing for the worst. But energetically, they're rehearsing the same version of life. They're not manifesting, they're recycling. But once you become aware, you can interrupt the loop. You can redirect your focus like a sacred instrument. You can stop collapsing timelines of limitation and start broadcasting the version of you that already lives your truth, and you don't need to fix your entire life to experience a quantum shift. You just need to become aware of what you're habitually observing and choose again. That's the entry point to quantum reselecting. It's not about changing the outer world. It's about interrupting the signal that keeps projecting the same reality onto the screen of your life. Most people don't realize this, but they're not choosing their timeline, they're repeating it. Every time you open your phone and brace for bad news, that's a vote for the old version. Every time you check your bank account with dread, you're emotionally locking in the same frequency of lack. Every sigh, every flinch, every time you say, "Here we go again," you're signaling to the field, collapse the same. What if you paused? What if, in that exact moment of familiar reaction, you said, "Wait, what would the version of me who's already free observe right now?" That 1 second of awareness becomes a new node in the quantum field. It creates space, and space is all the universe needs to reorganize. Reselecting isn't spiritual bypass, it's quantum precision. It's looking at the same moment through a new lens and triggering a different collapse. For example, the old you sees a delay and feels defeated. The new you observes the same delay as divine timing. Same event, new meaning, new timeline. You're not forcing change. You're broadcasting new coherence. And coherence is magnetic. When your focus, emotion, and belief line up, you generate a clean signal when the universe can't ignore. That's when synchronicity begins. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. The field isn't slow, it's specific. And the moment you become specific in your internal signal, the quantum responds in kind. Your body is not just a shell. It's a transmitter, a living antenna that sends and receives vibrational information every second. Question is, what signal is your body broadcasting? Because even if your thoughts are elevated, if your nervous system is still wired to fear, your field will echo that dissonance. This is the missing piece most people overlook. They try to shift their mindset without shifting their state. In quantum reality, your emotional state is the true selector. Your brain may think, but it's your body that decides. Why? Because your heart's electromagnetic field is 60 times more powerful than the brain's. And when your heart is out of sync, when it beats with anxiety, tension, or unprocessed memories, your entire signal becomes noisy, distorted. That distortion blocks the timeline you're trying to collapse. But here's the magic. Coherence is a trainable state. When your heart and brain sync, when your breath slows, when your thoughts and emotions begin to harmonize, your field clears. That's when the signal becomes pure. You're no longer reacting from the past. You're broadcasting from the now. Techniques like heart-focused breathing, intentional visualization, and gratitude aren't just feel-good practices. They're quantum calibration tools. When you breathe slowly and feel gratitude, not as a thought, but as a full-body vibration, you tell your nervous system, it's safe now, and safety is the gateway to receiving. You can't entangle with your highest timeline while your body is bracing for danger. It won't let the signal in. But when your system relaxes into coherence, the field begins to respond immediately. Not gradually immediately, because the quantum doesn't respond to time, it responds to frequency. And coherence is the frequency of trust, of readiness, of yes, let's make this real. You've understood the theory, now it's time to step into the field. Because this isn't just about learning, it's about remembering. Your next timeline is not far away. It's already broadcasting. And you're only a frequency away from it. So here's a practice, simple but powerful, that opens the doorway. Each morning before the world grabs your attention, sit in stillness. No phone, no to-do list, just you in the field. Close your eyes and breathe into your heart slow, full, rhythmic. Let your body soften. Now visualize the version of you who is already living the life you desire, not wishing, not hoping, living. See them clearly, how they speak, how they walk, how they greet the day. Feel their emotions, not as a fantasy, but as if they are you now, because they are. That version of you already exists in the quantum landscape. And the moment you observe from their eyes, not yours, the field begins to collapse around that signal. This is not visualization, it's vibrational identity. Hold it for 3 minutes. That's all it takes. Because in those 3 minutes, you shift your broadcast. You move from longing to being. It's from effort to alignment. And the field, precise as it is, responds not to time, but to truth. Do this daily, not to make something happen, but to stabilize your signal. Repetition creates reality. And the more often you return to the frequency of your future, the less time you'll spend recycling the past. This is how timelines bend, not with force, but with frequency. You are not imagining a new life. You are collapsing into it. You think you're waiting for the universe to shift, but the truth is, the universe is waiting for you to stop broadcasting an outdated identity. See, identity isn't just a story you tell yourself. It's the filter through which you observe. Everything. It's what you observe, as we've already seen, collapses into reality. So if deep down you still see yourself as the one who struggles, the one who waits, the one who almost but never quite arrives, then no matter what you do, externally, the field keeps echoing that signal back. This is what we call the identity trap. It's invisible, feels familiar, and it masquerades as truth. But it's not truth. It's repetition. A loop that was formed years ago through experience, culture, family, trauma, and now you wake. Up rehearsing it without even realizing, you think you're observing life, but you're just watching the same mental movie on repeat. Same emotions, same expectations, same timeline. It's not because you're stuck, but because your observer hasn't changed. But here's the liberating part. Identity is fluid. It's not fixed. It's not fate. It's a program. Programs can be rewritten. It's the moment you pause and ask, wait, who is observing this thought right now? You disrupt the pattern, reclaim the pen, stop being the actor and step into the role of the writer. Because the real shift isn't about controlling outcomes. It's about upgrading the observer. When the observer changes, the entire script bends. The dialogue changes. The scenes change. The entire plot arc moves. Not metaphorically, literally. Because your perception is selecting your version of reality, frame by frame, emotion by emotion. What if the version of you who's already living? Your dream life isn't in some distant future, but right here, right now, existing as a waveform, waiting for your signal to sync. It's not poetic, that's physics. Quantum entanglement proves that two particles once connected remain. Connected regardless of distance or time, change one and the other shifts instantly. Now imagine, what if consciousness works the same way? What if your future self is already entangled with you, and all it takes to activate that connection is coherence? This isn't fantasy. Resonance. Your future is not a place. It's a frequency. The fastest way to reach it isn't to chase it, but to tune to it. Here's how. Stop visualizing your future as something outside of you. Start becoming the one who already lives there. Feel into that version. How do they walk, speak, react under pressure? What do they no longer tolerate? What do they focus on with effortless clarity? And most importantly, what are they observing differently than you are now? Once you answer that, shift, not later. Now, sit still. Change your breath. Adjust your posture. Step into that timeline energetically, because that signal is already active in the field, and it's waiting for a match. The moment you observe life from the lens of your highest self, not your wounded one you, begin collapsing that reality. Not over weeks, in seconds. Because the field doesn't require time, it requires precision. When you stop watching life through old assumptions, old trauma, old definitions, you stop recycling timelines. You begin entangling with expansion. And the more you do it, the more stable that connection becomes. That's not manifestation. That's quantum alignment. This isn't just a concept, it's a commitment. Because shifting your timeline is not a one-time event. It's a daily broadcast, a conscious calibration. And the more stable your signal, the more inevitable your new reality becomes. So here's your practice, the focus loop method. Simple, powerful, and it reprograms your field from the inside out. Step 1, morning declaration. Before you open your phone, your inbox, your calendar, pause. Ask yourself, what reality am I choosing to observe today? Say it out loud. Let your body hear it. Step 2, midday reset. Set a reminder on your phone for mid-afternoon. When it rings, close your eyes, take a breath, and silently declare, I return to the version of me I'm becoming. Let that version re-enter your body. Step 3, evening embodiment. Before sleep, replay the moments you observed with intention. Celebrate the shifts. Feel the coherence. Let your nervous system encode that new frequency. This loop, morning, midday, evening, doesn't take effort. It takes awareness. And over time, it doesn't just shift your focus. It changes who you are, because your identity is not fixed. It's a pattern. And when you change the pattern, you change the path. So now ask yourself, quietly and honestly, what am I ready to observe into being? What version of me am I done waiting for? Because this isn't the end of a video. It's the beginning of a new signal, a new story, a new self. And if this resonated with you, if something inside you slowed down, lit up, remember, don't. Keep it to yourself. Share this frequency. Send it to someone whose reality is ready to shift. Like the video so the algorithm knows this signal matters. And subscribe to this channel if you want to keep collapsing timelines together. Because this space isn't just content. It's a field, and now you're part of it. So breathe, recalibrate, and remember, you are not observing the world. You're selecting it.